Welcome to Cats and Rats Podcast, covering your Florida Panthers.
Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of the Cats and Rats Podcast, episode number 52. I'm your host, Kirby Lupo, joined alongside my co-hosts, Nick Levine and Cody Stevens. I never noticed that 52 is up at the top of our screen here.
Jason Garrison.
Nah, Mackenzie Weegar.
Jason Garrison.
Can I get Nick a bell on that one?
No.
I will give honorable mention to Weegar too.
No, that's the other way around. But
That's all right. Well, gentlemen, here we are, our preview show. Panthers back to Stanley Cup Final for a third straight year in a row. Get the chance to defend our title, but yet again, it's against the Edmonton Oilers. And I've got some comments later from my family and friends because they started to chirp a little bit today.
I will get this. I will say this, though. I do not want to play this team. I did not. I would rather have had Dallas.
Because Dallas would have been a fun series, and Cody, I think realistically, which we'll get into here, we would have had a higher percentage chance of winning said series.
We probably could have beat Dallas in 5, like if we're going to be honest here.
With style of play and things like that?
Yeah, because they were soft and we are physicals all outdoors.
Yeah, and their top players, like you talk about with the teams with Toronto and Carolina, don't show up. Maybe like a Jason Robertson. Another guy, Nick, you didn't like Dallas in that series at all.
No, I thought they were soft. I thought they got bullied. There were some times in like game 5, they were activating the D up. You know, they were actually forechecking earlier. But I mean, Cody, you saw it. It's like they didn't activate the D at all. I mean, they just were trying to generate everything off the rush and come in through the neutral zone, come into the offensive zone, pass it to the outside. They get freaking pushed to the boards. They just needed to dump in, go get in on the forecheck, and they didn't.
With the dumbest coaching decision in the last 5 years, which actually somehow is bad considering Jim Hiller's challenge in round 1 is in this time frame. You, instead of going with Jake Oettinger, your horse, your number 1 goalie, in a do-or-die game with your season on the line, you say, all right, I'm going to roll with Casey DeSmith.
Yikes.
That is a one-way ticket to getting a pink slip.
But Pete DeBoer is coming back to Dallas. The owner spoke about that today, Cody.
I think that's the dumbest move. I'd fire him and bring in
I
Davie.
think he's going to
Cody, like it's just like he wants DeBoer the hell out of here. I don't know. I think
You would too after a decision like that.
For one decision, what they're going to do is they're going to
In a do-or-die game, Western Conference Finals,
I think that was just idiotic. I think the fact that they made no adjustments and how they attacked Edmonton is pretty.
Yeah.
Look,
But I think he has more pedigree and he's built more good faith than a guy like Hiller in LA, for example. So that's why.
But hey, they're the bridesmaids of the Western Conference. They are the new age San Jose Sharks.
Which remind me, who was a coach for the San Jose Sharks in the 2000s?
Oh yeah, Pete DeBoer.
There we go.
I understand coaches have been fired for less, Cody will argue, during the regular season.
One did today.
I.e. when your goalie can't find a save, they fire coaches left, right, and center. So I get that, Cody. But I think they're going to try to work this out. Where the pressure happens next year is when the playoffs come again for the Dallas Stars. And how
related to this sport, Kirby, your Pacers knocked a coach out of New York today. We're not
going
to talk about that. Yes, he
got
did.
fired.
Got fired.
I want to talk to Cody about that off air because I thought he was known for defense, but I didn't see too much of that.
But speaking of defense, the Panthers are going to have to be at their peak defensive form against the Edmonton Oilers, who boast probably the best duo the NHL has ever seen since Crosby and Malkin.
Mario Yager prior to that?
Taves and Kane, maybe?
I don't think they ever reached that level. I love Taves, but I don't think he ever reached that level.
I'm trying to think. Forsberg, Sakic?
I don't think Zetterberg, Datsuk reached that level. Forsberg, Sakic's in there with Mario and Yager. I would put Mario and Yager a little ahead of that.
And Gretzky, Messier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But these two right here, and Leon Draisaitl, I think, coming in a lot healthier into this series this year is going to play a big part.
So they lose Zach Hyman, Cody, who last year coming into the 2024 Stanley Cup Final, he was leading the Edmonton Oilers with 14 goals. So that's a big loss. But like you just mentioned, Draisaitl's healthy this year.
He is, and that's a huge difference, especially on that power play. He is the best at sharp angle shots in the NHL. He has that sharp angle one-timer that somehow always beats every goal. You kind of sit there and go, how does that beat him? It's just in the perfect spot every time. But losing Zach Hyman is a big storyline going into the series. I understand. You can say, well, McDavid and Draisaitl won't be denied. Okay. But what if they are? There are going to be points in this series where the Panthers defensively can smother the Oilers. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, even though Draisaitl was hurt, holding him to no goals in 7 games is no easy feat. And I think, and the one thing I'm really wondering about, and I think it's a really question mark that I think people are kind of overlooking here, they need Corey Perry this series.
They need Corey Perry and Evander Kane.
Like, they need them without Zach Hyman.
Yeah, to supplement that loss of Zach Hyman. Because Zach Hyman, and Nick, you talk about this a lot. He's the F1. He gets in on the forecheck. Yeah. He's winning the board battles. Can Connor McDavid do it? Like Cody and I mentioned on the Twitter post-game Spaces preview show. Appreciate everyone listening to that. We're like, yeah, Connor McDavid can do that. But like Cody said, it's better if he's maybe the F2. That F1 digs the puck out, and then he can zip that pass across to his winger, up top to Bouchard, and then Edmonton's a lot more dangerous. Without Zach Hyman, that's a big loss.
I think it's the combination of how effective he is on the forecheck and how skilled he is. He's got really good hands in front of the net. Also, you get a skilled guy like that in on the forecheck, he's able to make plays too, right? Playing with the best player in the world, that's going to help. I do think that, again, McDavid can do it. I think he's really evolved his game over the last couple of years, but it is better for him if a guy like Zach Hyman not just getting in the forecheck, he can make plays and really get the puck to McDavid too. Certain areas, get to the front of the net, however. But they do have guys that can sort of do that, like Corey Perry, Connor Brown, Evander Kane. There's even been other guys that have done a really nice job of it. Vasily Podkolzin has come in, and even Kasperi Kapanen, they've done a nice job in a checking role for them. But it's Zach Hyman's a huge loss. I'd equate it to us losing Sam Reinhart for this series.
That's what someone asked me in a DM today, and that's the name
That would probably be it. Although
different players, but if you're trying to compare what the loss,
but if anybody can overcome that, there's still enough.
I don't know if that's it's funny. Like, the comparison.
What player would you think, Cody? It's not the same prototype player, but it's
a higher class Eetu Luosterainen to me, because Etu's always the F1. When he scores, he's around the net. Defensively smart, does the dirty work for his line, but he's way better player.
But he's way better than Lusto. And I can't say Tkachuk because Tkachuk means so much to the fabric of the Panthers. So you have to go somewhere between Tkachuk and like a Lusto. And I think that's Reinhart. Even though what we say,
you could argue
we value Reinhart at times higher than Tkachuk.
It could be Verhaeghe.
Would you argue Verhaeghe?
I think Bennett may actually be a better pick here.
I think Hyman might be more of a loss to Edmonton than Verhaeghe would be to Florida.
I think Bennett probably be the pick here. It's not a devastating.
Whatever you want to equate it as, I think there's still enough.
It's a centerman, but
there's still enough depth pieces there. And McDavid and Draisaitl, so you can't count them out. But it is a massive loss for them. I mean, and like you said, Corey Perry, he's going to need to step up. Evander
40-year-old Corey Perry it is?
I think is he 40 or 41?
40.
I don't. How does he hold up against the Panthers with them being fresh, with this rest and the forecheck and that presence? Like, is he going to be able to win those battles against a tired Florida team? Maybe, but is this team going to lose those type of net front battles?
The thing with the tired narratives, they said that against Tampa. We're too hurt. The last time I've heard Florida, I was like incredulous before our round one opponent, our matchup, because everybody's just disrespecting Florida. Like, oh, this, that, the other thing, whatever. Like, do you guys not realize who we are? Like, we're a damn good team. We're here for a reason. And I think that certain elements of the Oilers, again, both of these teams are better than they were last year. That's been well documented. And when you take a look at certain facets of their game, losing Zach Hyman, 40-year-old Corey Perry, Matthias Ekholm has played 1 game in 5 months. I mean, it's not going to be easy for him to come right back in to a Stanley Cup Final matchup against this team, against the Panthers. It's not going to be easy.
I want to get into this, guys, with you. The rush chances, it's something that could serve me in the Toronto series. So I got some numbers here. McDavid leads the playoffs with 29 rush chances. William Nylander, who we saw in the second round, Leon Draisaitl tied for second with 17. And then Zach Hyman, this is another thing that he helped the Oilers with, who they'll be missing. He was third, tied with Rantanen for 14 rush chances. So are we worried about this? You look at it from McDavid and Draisaitl, but remember, Cody, what happened last year with those depth guys? Those are the ones that hurt us on the rush chances. So this stat really concerns me for the top two guys of the Oilers and then the rest of their.
It scares me for a couple of reasons. Number one, Forsling has not been as good this year. And then you have guys like Ekblad and Jones who have played very well, but they're not fast. I'm not going to sugarcoat
Jones' biggest weakness coming into Florida.
If you're even with Ekblad or Jones, Cody, we're dead. Like, we got to be ahead.
Oh yeah, and Seth Jones, he's
a basketball term there.
Seth Jones is not good at defending the rush, so our forwards are really going to have to commit here. If we're going to want to really contain that a bit more than we.
Because Cody, our forwards, we're all built about our forwards, and if we can't get them back in time, it's where we have our defense on our heels. And Cody, that concerns me.
And I'm worried because
Cody, go ahead. Go
ahead. Sorry about that.
But this is why communication is key right here. Because a big reason why in the Toronto series we were getting killed the first two games was the forwards weren't coming back for the D for when they pinched. So it was always an odd man rush going the other way. There was not enough defenders behind those. Look, how many times in the Toronto series do we have like the defenseman chasing them when they pinch? Because here's the thing, I'm not going to get mad at the defenseman for pinching here because that's the system. That's the system we all have seen. That's the system we all know.
The Edmonton forwards are so quick, Cody. How are the defense going to be back in their layers? Because they're not going to get that forward back checking help right away. They have to do the defending.
But if they do pinch, because here's the thing, this is how Edmonton can get a rush chance. If we get a pinch, but we do not get the puck, the forwards have to be back. They have to be on their toes when the defense pitches. They have to understand when to move, and understand that you have to cover the point.
Well, that's going to affect our offensive zone time and attacks and shot attempts. Cody, like that's if we're playing a little bit back on our heels with the forwards, is that not us playing our game?
We're not playing back on our heels. It's just supporting the D like we always do. It's part of the system. D pinches in, forward comes back, covered the D.
But they're going to have to be back an extra step or two.
I don't know about all that. Maybe Kachuk. Barkov probably wouldn't. I don't think Reinhardt does. For Hagee does.
Don't you worry, guys, if our second line is really back there and then they get caught and then they get walked around? Because,
if it's Kachuk back there.
I'm worried because of what we saw in the Toronto series. We let them dictate the pace of play. We let them play the way they wanted to play. We need to force Edmonton into playing our game a bit more. Playoff hockey, we've already talked about it, shrinks the ice. We're going to have to do that this time around. We can't let them just generate everything off the rush. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not going to get anything. We're going to get frustrated at points in this series. They're going to get rush chances. They're going to get goals off the rush. They're going to burn by our defensemen quite a number of times. When I mean I mean Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But outside of that, you need to establish your game, your presence, and on the forecheck, cycling the puck down low with other lines. And while they do have McDavid and Draisaitl, it's like we got pretty good players too. So it's not always just going to be them up and down the ice at certain points. But I think support is going to be key in this series. We need puck support. We need to be locked in because and if we need Bobrovsky to make a save off one rush chance, I feel he can do that, right? But it's more like you're not going to eliminate it, but how can you counteract it to the point where it doesn't kill you? And I think that's the key to this series.
Anything else on that point? Because I got something else.
That was the one thing from our preview spaces. Go check that out on our Twitter X. When our guest Avery, once again, thank you for Avery for coming on. There was one quote I severely disagreed with. He said, the Panthers don't have any superstars. They have a bunch of stars. And I severely disagreed with that. Because we have at least two superstars. And that's Alexander Barkov, Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky has been the best goalie in the NHL for the last 2 seasons. When you need a game, your life's on the line, you need a game to win. A lot of people are changing their answer from Vasilevsky to Bobrovsky. And Alexander Barkov can overpower any forward. Look what he saw to did to Dmitry Orlov last round.
I just wanted to Bobrovsky stat there because you mentioned him. He's allowed 3 or less goals in his last 9 games. Cody, you mentioned this to me too. He's had a shutout in every series. But like we're kind of getting away from the rush chance talk now. So guys, I want to bring you to this. The first 2 games of this series. I'm going to put it on the record right now. I don't know if anyone else heard this from me. I think it is vital that the Florida Panthers win game 1. I'm really feeling like things can go our way in this series. Not going to be up 3-0 in the series like last year. They can win game 1 and dictate their style of play. It's going to put doubt in the Edmonton Oilers' minds, in the fans' minds, the media, everything. They're going to be like, here we go again. Puts pressure on them, takes that home ice away. I don't think it's just like, hey, give them game 1 and we'll see what happens in game 2. Because that part concerns me, especially if game 1 is a real free-flowing game, a lot of rush chances and things like that. Because that's big adjustments that Florida has to make from game 1 to 2. If they come out in game 1, start pounding that D, like Paul Maurice says, getting turnovers, getting a lot of shot opportunities. Think of like that game 7 against Toronto. Edmonton's going to be in a world of trouble. So what do you guys feel here going into these 2 games? I just want to share the stats. Edmonton Oilers are 6-1 on home ice with 4.71 goals for, 2.43 goals against, 56% power play on home ice, 83.3 penalty kill. But then you look at the Panthers numbers, they're road warriors. 8-2, 48 goals. That's an NHL record in the playoffs. 4.80 goals per game, 2.10 goals against. They've been keeping the puck out of the net, and they've been getting better with that, like Cody mentioned with Bobrovsky. 42.9% on the power play and an 88.6% on the penalty kill. That's why I kind of lean Florida when it comes to the special teams. But how do you guys think these 2 games are going to play out here? Because I think it's very important in this series.
Well, I think, number one, what you just said, the game 1's very important because it also changes the narrative a bit. Edmonton's riding high and deservingly so. They impressed everybody against Dallas. They're very comfortable in their structure. They don't get enough credit for their defensive effort. I think, how do I see it going? I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't know what to expect. It's been over a week or a week as of Wednesday, June 4th. Game 1 will be a week separated from our last game played. I don't know how that's going to look. There's a couple of different questions. How are we going to look on the forecheck? It's going to take time getting to their D, like you said, pound their D, Kirby. Well, you said this against Toronto. It's going to take time to chip away at their D. They're not small guys, right? So I don't really think we can afford to take our time with that and go down 2-0 and just hope for home ice, right? I think it's imperative we come out of Edmonton with a split. The one thing I will say for games 1 and 2 is, how is Stuart Skinner going to look? And how are some of our other guys like Forsling, Ekblad, Jones, how are they going to look? Because I have no doubt McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be ready to go. They're going to be flying right out of the gate. And I'm cautious about Stuart Skinner. I can see that. I could also see a very cautious first period in game 1 where there's low shots. There's not a lot of chances. They're kind of just feeling each other out, even though they know each other from last year. I could see that very well as well, because I think Edmonton is comfortable in that game as well.
Can you see Edmonton like trying to execute things, but because they've had such a long break, pucks are bouncing over their stick, and then the Panthers aren't quite at that A+ forechecking stuff? Yeah,
I would say that. I think no team really has it just yet, and it's kind of a more cautious first period.
Doesn't that favor Florida?
I would say so. Again, I'll come out of the first period with the tie any day of the week against this team right now.
Cody, what is your thoughts like on game 1, game 2? Because I think it's very vital. I don't say that for every series, but I think to me, I'm finding a great deal of importance.
Game 1 and 2 is important. I'm not probably as high as like on game 1.
Okay.
We need to win because I do like the fact that we are better after losses. I have confidence in that. But the thing is you have to get out the first 5 minutes, because I'm going to let everybody know right now. I think it's a 85% chance that Edmonton's out flying because, 1, they're at home, and 2, look, the revenge factor is a thing. If you're an athlete and you go against a team that you've lost to in the past, you come out a little bit harder. But the teams that still continue to beat you, settle in, take the lumps, and then keep going.
Now, Cody, a good thing that the Panthers did against Carolina is get under Carolina's skin to start that series. And you saw Carolina run around. It didn't work with Toronto. So is the key here with Florida, are they going to be able to get under Edmonton's skin and then get to that power play, which is dominant on road ice for Florida? And that penalty kill is very susceptible with Edmonton. It's like at 66%, 14th in the NHL in these playoffs. So is that a way where Florida gets out on a lead and early? Because I think that's important.
I don't think they,
like you did with Carolina.
I don't think you get under their skin as early as Carolina. The Carolina one was weird because we got under their skin in game 1.
Yep.
If for
and do that with Toronto till well into the series.
For Edmonton, I'm feeling game 2 or 3, if it's the case. If it goes our way to start.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm talking about, I know they're a veteran poised team like we are, but Corey Perry, Evander Kane, one of those defensemen, Darnell Nurse, someone will snap, and they'll take a penalty, and we'll get a power play on it, and then you make them pay there. And now they're like, not only is the Panthers dictating and bullying us, Nick, but they're also outskilling us right now.
Well, I think another way you could see this game going is like, you just mentioned that game 1 against Carolina. Carolina, you could argue, had a bit of jump. They were physical. They had some nice chances. We scored 2 quick ones in the first, 10, 15 minutes of that first period of game 1.
Yep.
I think that's another thing.
Beauty goal on the power play.
Yeah, but if Edmonton's really pushing here and, we're hemmed in our own zone a bit, then Stuart Skinner lets up a weak one, and then we start getting under their skin a little bit. Kind of that same formula a bit with game 1 against Carolina. I could also see that as a potential way this can go. Again, I think, like you just said, Darnell Nurse, Evander Kane, Corey Perry, some of these other guys. I mean, we're not an easy team to play. We agitate Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, Brad Marchand. We're gonna get
Ryan and Lundell, that fourth line.
Lusto's a prick.
Yeah,
Lusto can draw a penalty from being,
And you really take a look at it, it's like that could definitely play a role in this game, especially if we're able to get like a weak goal or two and kind of get into their heads a little bit. Because you're pushing hard, you're trying to get on the board, and then Stuart Skinner allows a weak one.
And that's when McDavid gets frustrated.
And then McDavid gets frustrated, and then you got Marchand and the Tkachuk on the other side chirping at each other. But again, that's also imperative for our team too. We can't let them get in our heads.
I think we have better poise after a bad goal.
We have better poise because we're cup champs. Like, it comes with the territory.
And just the DNA of the team.
But the thing is with Edmonton, and I don't think a lot of the media is talking about this, there's a lot of pressure on them. Look, they only have one cup winner, if I am correct, on their team, which is Corey Perry.
And Corey Perry has lost, the last 5 Stanley Cup Finals?
Let's see.
Stop.
I heard that stat.
Montreal, that's 1.
Dallas.
Tampa.
Dallas. That's 3.
That's 3.
Edmonton.
And
Tampa? Was it Tampa against Colorado or no?
Lost 5 of the last 6, I think.
Yeah, because
the only one he didn't lose was when we played Vegas.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But then you have McDavid. And on the rush chance front, I have a high danger chances stats right here.
Uh-huh.
The funny thing is, it actually favors Florida. Florida leads the NHL this postseason in high danger goals and in high danger shooting percentage. They have 39 high danger goals this postseason with a 31.7% shooting percentage in the high danger areas. Well, Edmonton is not so far. Edmonton has more high danger shots on goal, and Corey Perry leads the NHL with 6 high danger goals this postseason, and the next two that are tied for second, both Panthers, Sam Bennett, Anton Lundell.
Well, you can thank Corey Perry can thank Cody Ceci just abandoning the front of the net on the PK for some of those goals. I mean, that was putrid. And that's another part I actually wanted to talk about is Edmonton's power play. We need to stay out of the box. This penalty kill, I know it's been good. It's not last year's penalty kill. I just don't trust it nearly as much.
I disagree with you there.
Kevin Stenlund not being there. I'm sorry. I think Tomas Nosek has been great. I think Lusto's phenomenal. I just don't trust this as much as I did.
I don't trust their down low coverage, and you mentioned their power play, Nick. It's only 30%, which is still pretty good.
Started off slow,
but on their home ice, they're at 56.
And the other part of this is on the other side of the special teams, our power play. I don't care what the numbers say; it has not been good enough. We have no strategy. I don't even care on the road. We're just hoping the puck goes in. I mean. And look, I think part of Edmonton's struggle on the penalty kill was, number one, they started off really bad against LA. They fixed that up a bit. And Matthias Ekholm's now back. And I know Ekholm hasn't really been in the lineup. Well, he's a big body and he's good on the penalty kill. That's actually a way for him to kind of get into the series a bit. So I think those are two things, again, I'm looking for in this series is we need to be better on the power play.
Do you think the Panthers have some wrinkles with all these days off that they're working different power?
Well, I certainly hope so, because with all due respect to the coaching staff, the power play coach seems like he's been taking the summer off. I mean, it just seems like throw the puck on net. It's going to go in on somebody, right? It's not good enough.
But on the Edmonton penalty kill, in the top 5 teams that were in terms of power play percentage this postseason, three of the teams in the top 5 played Edmonton.
And the penalty
power play percentage. LA's number 1, Dallas number 3, Vegas number 5. So those were the 3 teams Edmonton has beaten to get to this Cup final, which speaks very, very glowingly to their 5-on-5 play.
Yeah.
I wanted to say some power play numbers here. I know Cody heard it on our previous show, but Nick, you probably didn't hear this. So I have the numbers from last year with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and then going into this year. Connor McDavid has, I think, 26 points coming into this series. He had 31 last year, so not that far off of a difference. But Nick, he had, I believe, 14 power play points tied with Draisaitl last year coming into the final. This year, McDavid only has 4 power play points. Draisaitl, he has, I believe, 9 power play points. So a lot of McDavid's points are coming off 5v5. He's not living and dying off of that power play.
Yeah.
And it's what we talked about, the evolution of his game. I think he's committed to two-way game a lot more. I think, again, and one of the biggest stats is Edmonton got to the conference finals. He only had 2 goals coming into that series. I mean, that's crazy to me. And I think that, again, it speaks to Edmonton's structure and everything. I think Chris Knobloch's a hell of a coach who doesn't get talked about enough. I think the 5v5 play, again, power play 30% you just mentioned, that's good, but it's we've seen that power play put up, 41, 43, 45%?
Yeah, for Edmonton.
For Edmonton. So that's really that's not that great. It's not world beaters.
And last year against us, Cody, I think they were 13, 14% against us in the final. So their numbers dropped against us. I'm not worried about our penalty kill, but you still got to look at the numbers.
Because going back to our penalty kill, I think there's one area where our penalty kill has gotten way better at this year than last year. And I think it's our blue line defense.
I was going to say
our penalty kill has been way tougher to get in the zone against this postseason. Look how many. Mainly look at the 5-minute power play Tampa had in Game 4. They couldn't get into the zone.
I'm going to argue our penalty kill was as good last year as is this year. Elite.
Not a zone denials.
Well, I'm putting both elite.
Yeah, they're both elite. But again,
the Edmonton is one that dropped off from last year. Edmonton was first coming in.
Well, I'm just going to ask you this question: Who do you trust last year's penalty kill more than this year's?
I'll take either one, but I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think our forwards are pretty well even across the board.
I trust.
It depends what the defense is doing.
I trust this year's more.
No, I trust last year's more.
No, because I hated
last
OEL.
Year. Forsling was better,
but last year OEL was horrible in the PK, and I'll stand on that.
He was 30.
We had Kulikov and Mikalev doing
in the middle.
Yeah, but Jones has been
better last year.
But Jones has been pretty good on the PK since he's gotten here.
We're not relying on for that.
Ekblad's best defensive work this postseason has come on the penalty kill.
But are you just going to say because Ekblad's better this year overall, including the penalty kill, than he was last?
Probably,
year?
but
last year, where was his best hockey?
Penalty kill.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing. There have been a couple times this postseason where he's cleared the puck on his own. I don't know how the heck he's done it. But he's cleared the puck on his own a couple times since PK in.
I don't know if we can give a true answer to that, Cody, until this series starts to develop and play. Then we can compare last year's penalty
But with the power play, and I think they got to do something similar to what they did last year, is let McDavid do all the dancing he wants to in the zone.
Yeah, they did a great
job.
Shut
down everybody else.
Yeah, they did a great job of that last year. Keep them to the outside.
Because
this unit has to do that this year to him.
Yeah, because I'd rather have McDavid have the puck because 9 times out of 10 he's looking to pass.
Yeah, and the one thing that McDavid, probably only one of the few things in his game that won't kill you is that shot from the outside. He might find one, but that's not where that's where Leon's going to kill you.
Yeah,
and then if you get up to chart, he's going to hurt you.
And on the power play, Zach Hyman's not there.
Yes, because that's where McDavid's looking too.
And I wish we could show film on here, but there were a number of plays. Cody Ceci just abandons the front of the net. Like, what are you doing? Like, he goes to the side, and they just pass it to, like, Corey Perry right in front. Like, the first goal of the night in Game 5 for Edmonton, what the hell were they doing?
But
I don't get it. Like, we can't just abandon the front of the net like that.
You mentioned Cody Ceci's name. He's not even in this series.
Yeah, but he's the one who kind of he's all the bad film. But on the flip side here with Edmonton,
that's the one guy that would expose.
But now, because I think Celtics is enough. Like our power play, I would like something more to what we did when we scored that power play goal against Carolina, where we're kind of moving and Ekblad and Jones are moving a bit in the give and go, and Ekblad gets a little bit deeper into the ozone and has a better chance of a shot, and Tkachuk tipping it. I like that power play a lot better than what the heck we were doing, because all we were doing was that we had 5 guys on the outside just passing and hoping.
Well, that's what Nick was talking about when it comes to the Panthers power play. So what plays, what designs are we going to have? What layers in front of the net? Because some of that can be off a design too. Just because they throw bodies in front of the net. No, it's not throwing bodies in front of it. It's when you're moving the puck around on the outside, and then when you choose to shoot the puck, when those layers start to play.
But I also think those passes to the outside, like if you can get those inner slot shots on the power play against Skinner, take them. I honestly think on the power play, any shot with
take a sharp angle shot from Verhaeghe or Reinhardt on the
power. Verhaeghe coming off the wall and cutting in the middle. Didn't Reinhardt
score that sharp angle one on Skinner this year in the regular season?
Yeah,
I don't 5v5, but I'm just saying.
Like I'm going to be honest, I think almost any shot on the power play is worth taking, whether it be traffic in the front off a Jones bomb from the point. Ekblad, you saw what he did on Tkachuk's goal. Tkachuk right in front with a stick up for the screen. For the deflection. Any of that works.
We always get on Forsling for this 5v5, but those ones along the boards, just let it fly. Let it
that can work too, right?
Because it's not Vassy, right? Like, let's just let it fly.
Bringing this back to the Panthers, you want to hear the most shocking stat for the Panthers I have? Sam Reinhart, 0 goals on the power play.
It's got to change.
For these playoffs.
0.
Wow.
Would you have guessed that we would be in the Stanley Cup Final if Sam Reinhart had 0 power play goals, Kirby, Cody?
I would probably lean to that to be no. But again, his overall game I haven't been upset with, but you do need that. Remember, what did I say last round? We're going to get into our picks here after the segment here. But I did say, we need some Sam Reinhart power play goals. And guys, get him the puck. But I think it's both him not converting, but I don't think he's getting a lot of puck touches.
No, and I think
teams are shutting him down.
Uh-huh.
Well, they haven't even attempted it.
Carolina was crowding the heck out of them.
Well, and then they let Verhaeghe in on the slot, and then the bumper.
That one confused me because they just let him just have a nice cup of tea and just.
That's usually where Reinhart.
That's why I thought our power play was going to completely open up because I'm like, okay, if we're getting that look, then we're going to get all these other.
Yeah, but we only got that look because it was Verhaeghe. It wasn't Reinhart.
Yeah.
But again,
I thought even Tkachuk would get some more space to operate with too.
But again, you take a look at our power play; it's 23.2%, which is right around what I believe it was last year. Let me take a look for 1 second here on the power play last year. We were actually 18.5% on the power play last year in the playoffs. Forgive me for that.
Our penalty still was elite.
88%. 23.5% is what it was in the regular season last year, and this year in the regular season, Florida Panthers 23.5% again. So take a look this year in the playoffs. The Panthers 23.2. Last 2 regular seasons, 23.5. So that's right around what the power play is.
Yeah, but our power play is opportunistic. When they need a goal, they have found a way to get a goal, which makes the power play seem better than what it is at points.
Yeah. It's not the type of power play you're going to snap it around and you're going to get the 2, 3, 4 power play goals a game.
I don't think we're ever going to hit that.
We're not going to do that. We just don't have the talent for that. The offensive firepower for that. But I do think that, again, finding the opportunistic goal, getting to our game, wearing them down a bit. If you can get where we got into trouble last year with Edmonton, and where other teams have gotten in trouble with it this as well, is like we freaking felt like when we blew the 3-0 series lead, we just freaking allowed them to open up the game in the first period, right? Like Kirby, I think you said going into Game 7, it's like get out of there with the tied game, 1-0, 1-1, something, so you have a chance. Like stop the bleeding a bit. And I think, with the exception of the Vegas series, I think Edmonton has really kind of blown open the games that they've won. But I do think they are more comfortable playing in those tight checking 1-goal games. But I think
they are. But I think they're also susceptible to first periods if you play your game.
Yes,
they kind of walk into games like we do. So how about us be the ones to punch them in the mouth?
We walk into games.
Sleepwalk.
That's what games you're talking about.
Oh man, it's just
we do.
Though at least faceoffs are kind of a wash because these two teams are some of the worst faceoff teams.
Yeah,
Sam Bennett might be able to win a draw finally.
The Panthers are 15th in these playoffs at 45.6%, and then the Oilers are at 12th with 48.4%.
That ain't great.
Yeah, but then you got a guy like Draisaitl who's up there in the league leaders with the playoffs, and then Barkov's number 1, I believe.
Yeah, it's funny. We're second to last. We're second to last in face-off percentage, yet we have the best face-off man.
Right? And isn't Draisaitl 3rd, 4th, or 5th overall?
Draisaitl's at 53%. Let me look.
I think that's top 5 in the playoffs.
53% in the face-off.
It's 19th.
19th?
Yep.
Okay. Do they have another guy near the top? I thought I saw.
Nope.
I was looking at something else. Okay. But again, yeah, we have the best face-off guy, but we're not the best percentage.
I mean, Lundell at 48.2, but I guess that's not horrible. What the heck's Bennett?
That's right around where Edmonton's average is.
What's Bennett at? Hold up. Because Bennett and Sturm have really skewed these numbers for us to be friggin' second to last.
We don't mention Nico Sturm on this podcast.
33% in the dot for Sam Bennett.
I was going to go a little higher for Bennett because I thought those numbers
were boy.
Up, but nope.
I mean,
and what I mentioned on the depth scoring, guys, the Oilers have 14 different goal scorers in the playoff series just against Dallas alone. They've had a goal scorer from every player on their team except Emberson and Sketcher. 2 guys in Ekholm and Brown, which I'm not going to count because they only played 1 game, like Cody, you mentioned on Ekholm. They have 4 players over 15 points, 7 players with 10 plus. The Panthers, they're really living off their depth scoring with their blue line and their forwards. They've got 10 players with 10 points or more, and that leads, I believe, all teams.
And if you want to talk about depth scoring or lineup scoring, the Panthers only have 1 guy that has not scored a goal for them in their lineup, and his name
Tomas
Nosek.
So I would say Edmonton has 2, but when you count Emberson and Sketcher's like a defensive guy. So that's pretty even. How much scoring up and down the lineup that they're getting. Last series, like I mentioned, all the goal scores there against Dallas. So
you take a look at
I don't know if there's a depth advantage to one team or the other.
I think I'll say this: the talent further down the lineup, I think, favors us a bit
on paper.
On paper
and actual on ice play.
That third line is going to be a key. I mean, against the Connor Browns, Matthias Janmarks, no disrespect to them, but they're not Brad Morris.
They can say we have a guy like Mackey, Samoskevich that's not in the lineup, and Nico Sturm, but they have a guy like Jeff Skinner, like Cody mentioned to me, because Connor Brown's going to be healthy. So they've got depth that are.
Well, I heard he's questionable.
Yeah. He said it's a game time decision, but I think he's playing.
Okay, so what
and we can assume AJ Greer's out, right?
I'm assuming that because I think they are comfortable with Boquist the way he has played.
Yes, Boquist. That's a name I remember. We'll talk about in a few minutes, Kirby.
Yeah, well, that's another guy out of the lineup. But yeah, both teams, they've got really good quality players, and these are the last 2 teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs here that are sitting on the bench, namely at forward.
You take a look at some of their depth pieces. Last year, their top 5 goal scorers, like you take a look here. Hyman, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard, McDavid. But then you take a look, they all had 18, 28, 20, 27, 31 points, whatever. Take a look at some of those depth pieces. Kane had 8 points, Holloway had 4, Henrique had 4, Janmark had 4, Connor Brown had 4, Warren Fogle had 4. McLeod only had 1 goal coming into the Stanley Cup Final last year. Take a look at the depth this year. It's a completely different story. You have Hyman, I know he's not in anymore, 11 points. Evander Kane, 11 points. Corey Perry, 10. Connor Brown, 8. Henrique and Podkolzin, 6. You have Arvidsson at 5. Janmark at 4. I mean, you take a look. Evander Kane at 11 points would have been their 6th highest point getter last year coming into the Stanley Cup Final.
The Oilers weren't getting depth scoring in the regular season, but I'll argue they have in the playoffs. Like the Panthers weren't as much in the regular season. In the playoffs, it just exploded.
Etulo Starinen being a point per game. Brad Marchand came in at the end of the year, so that magnifies it.
Etulo Starinen, the Mason Marchman, baby. The agenda continues.
Here we go. Kirby, any comment on that one?
No, I just
you can't say anything right now because
no, he's at home.
I just think the depth scoring is there for both teams. I think the Panthers fans are really excited, and you should be because of the deep scoring.
But the biggest difference for this team, for the Panthers going into this Cup Final versus last year, it's not Seth Jones because we had Brandon Montour, and I think both those guys are a wash. And it's Brad Marchand. We're going to be honest here.
Yes. That's almost not. I don't almost not count him as a depth guy. You know, he was joking with the media today. I thought I was going to play on the fourth.
I understand some people like Tarasenko. This is not even close.
Like you see what Marchand does with the puck. Like he's so shifty. He gets in and out of like look at the play he did with round 1 against Tampa. Is Vladimir Tarasenko doing that?
But fans were upset at me on the post-game show when I was talking about Marchand at the end of the regular season and start the playoffs. Yeah, he's making plays out there, but he's not converting on them. I'm like, he's always around the puck. It's going to happen. And just look at the points. You have to look at the games itself. And Brad Marchand's an impact player that I don't even constitute as.
And he's one of those guys. It's like, rarely do you get a deadline guy that comes in almost is like, I don't want to say a culture piece, but he is in a sense, right? It's Brad freaking Marchand, right? It's like he comes in, he can drag you into the fire. So we already know we have Matthew Tkachuk. Brad Marchand, he's going to drag you into the fire. He's going to get the team going. I mentioned in the past, I was at Game 3. We're down 2-0 in the series and in the game. Brad Marchand, you wouldn't be able to tell. He's running his mouth like they're up 3-0, right? He's getting the team fired up. Vladimir Tarasenko, all respect to him. Paul Maurice has even said he's quiet on the bench. He doesn't do it. Marchand's always talking on the bench. So it's a culture piece that comes right into the room and fits seamlessly.
I think Barkov drags you into the fire like when even Matthew Tkachuk is not doing it for you. But the next closest guy, Cody, is Brad Marchand. He does it better than Sam Bennett. He does it better than Carter Verhaeghe. He does it better than Sam Reinhart. That is a huge piece to me, Brad Marchand, where you have to like really strongly consider.
And your point on Barkov, the evolution of him is kind of like a leader. It's like I felt like a couple of years ago he was soft. Now he's quiet.
Barkov wouldn't have done that.
Now he's kind of like an FU quiet type of guy. Like he is like all business. It seems very measured.
Not doing it. You have Barkov doing it, and then you got Brad Marchand.
Yeah, but let me speak on this. Let me just speak on this point for the Panthers because let's before we go to break here is number one, Edmonton, I do not believe, have been tested physically yet this postseason. No, they have not. LA tested them because they were scoring goals. They tested them mentally. Vegas didn't do it because they were soft.
Dallas didn't do it. That's for
Dallas sure as heck didn't do it. We all watched that series.
Need to go at is Ekholm coming off the injury and Bouchard. I talked about this on our pre-series show. Ekholm, he is their defensive engine. Bouchard is their offensive engine. They're both paired together. Go at those guys like they're the head of the snakes, like they did with Chris Tanev with the Maple Leafs.
Like if Ekholm's not 100%, check him to death.
Even if he is, it's like, how is he going to be? Like we talk about, there's a difference between being 100% healthy and like ready. It's not going to be an easy transition to just jump right in the Stanley Cup Final. I know we played in Game 5 or whatever. That was a barn burner right from the get-go. We didn't really have to do anything. They're up 3-0 before he made his like third shift on the ice, right? So I think you look at it, and it's like you're playing against the most physical, most vicious forechecking team there is in the NHL in the Stanley Cup Final. It's not going to be easy. And we know because we have definitely chipped away at some of the better defensive defensemen in the league. Big guys, Chris Tanev, other guys in the past, right? And I think that's going to be the message here. Kirby, we were talking about it. We went after Chris Tanev. Well, you don't think Paul Maurice Panthers know? Hey, this guy has played one game in 3.5 months. Why do you think? You think he's ready to start taking hits like that? I know I wouldn't, and I'm nowhere near as good a example as Mattias Ekholm is. I think he's one of the best in the NHL.
What a disrespect to Mattias Ekholm.
No, I don't think any. Listen, he's the best two-way defenseman in the NHL.
But throw it in Ekholm's corner, test him, and then if you want to throw it in Bouchard's corner, go at him because he's not going to like that.
No, Bouchard doesn't like getting hit either. But right? I don't think getting those types of hits after 3.5 months off to anybody, any NHL defenseman, any player, that's a fun thing to do. It's nothing you can prepare for.
And I talked about this off air, Cody. You get into a groove, and I haven't seen anyone else tweet this out, so I wanted to tweet it out. You get into a groove in the playoffs when you start to take physicality and start to take punishment. But when you're off for 7, 8, 9 days or whatever, your body is not acclimated now. It's not built up all that callus. So when you come in, this is why I'm saying game one, Cody, is ultra important for the Panthers. Come out and hammer them early because they have not been accustomed to that with all this time off. And like you guys mentioned, they haven't been accustomed to that with the soft matchups that they've had.
And I got to get this off my chest going into the Stanley Cup Final. This will play into later, but the second line, Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, and whoever the heck is on their wing needs to be better this Cup Final. Needs to be. They were the only line last year that did not show up.
Yeah, and that final. They had a moment in game 3 and that goal. A lot of that was created by, if you guys go back, I watched it. It was created by Erod. It wasn't just
Attaboy sketch.
Erod kept the puck in the zone.
I have a stat from Big Head Hockey on Twitter. Jeff Skinner has more hits than Evan Bouchard this postseason. Skinner has 8 hits. Bouchard has 7.
Then
the
again,
difference, Bouchard has played every game, 16 games. Jeff Skinner has played 2.
Jeff Skinner's played
2 games.
If Bouchard ain't hitting, he sure as heck slashing. But if he ain't hitting,
Kirby, you still have the picture up with Aaron Ekblad and Evan Bouchard?
Oh, we might have that hype video here. From
I still think that's Kirby's favorite Ekblad moment. Kirby's an
Ryan is a lucky man. He gets to just reuse all these freaking.
I told Ryan I have one strong request, and that was one of them for sure. That picture needs to be somewhere in that video.
But because Kirby was dying laughing at that photo last year, especially when Bouchard was tapping out. And
it brought me back to Sean Thornton and Cal Clutterbuck.
Yeah. What was that game?
But those two,
I would have wished if I could go back in time. That's a game I'd want to be.
Those two but Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk need to be a presence in this Cup Final. Those two were our most 2 invisible forwards last year in the top 9. Because here's the thing. I can point to 5 things Barkov did. I can point to 5 things Reinhart did. I can point to 5 things Verhaeghe did. I can point to 5 things that Erod did. I can point to 5 things Lundell did. Lusto, Tarasenko, Stenlund. I can't. I can give you 1 or 2 for Tkachuk and Bennett.
And that shocked me because of the Battle of Alberta with those guys being involved. Especially,
do you think Tkachuk's going to be better? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I think
he's going to be better this.
I'll get to my list
because I think his best hockey was at the beginning of the playoffs last year. I think his best hockey is towards the back half of the playoffs this year.
And by the way, I don't want to hear none about the effort play to get the puck out of the empty net. They score on it 2 seconds later.
Yeah, then nobody shows that.
That play gets romanticized so much.
They showed the play.
We went back down and scored and then won it at overtime.
McDavid scored right after or whatever.
Literally 5 seconds later. That's when Bill Zito threw his water bottle.
There you go.
So I mean, they didn't show that. I don't know why.
But anyway, before we continue with our top 5 and review of our top 5 from last round, here is a word from our sponsor, CanesWear.
Panthers fever is here. Are you geared up? CanesWear in Davie is the place for all your Florida Panthers needs. They have the latest gear for our favorite NHL team. Jerseys, polos, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. CanesWear has you covered. Stop by their store in Davie or at PanthersWear.com. Again, that's PanthersWear, WEAR.com for all your Panthers gear.
All right, but ladies, but gentlemen, we have to.
I got to get to our sponsor here quickly.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, Panther fans, in South Florida need real estate help? Check out Jeremy Beckham with Next Home Treasure Coast. It's a boutique service with a personal touch. Jeremy and his team put humans over houses, working hard for you, whether you're buying or selling. Ready to move? Hit up BeckSellsFLA.com or call 772-475-5371. Now you'll be glad you did. Cody, we have to get to our review picks in that Carolina.
We do. And
who won? I don't know. I didn't really look at this.
I think I know.
Because you won the Tampa series, Cody. I won the Toronto series. And Nick needs to get one here.
I do.
But
who are we going to review first? We won't take too long on this.
Let's review mine because I had quite a number of interesting choices.
For the audio listeners, just a reminder here, Nick had, this is our picks for the Carolina series. Number 1, Alexander Barkov. Number 2, Brad Marchand. Number 3, Sergei Bobrovsky. Number 4, Seth Jarvis. Number 5, Seth Jones. Honorable mention to Jacob Slavin and Sam Reinhart. X Factors, Pyotr Kochekov and Jesper Boquist. I'm at 4, maybe 5.
Okay, talk it out here. Which ones?
Okay, I think Barkov being number 1 is.
I think Barkov's one of them. I'm gonna give him a point for Slavin as the honorable mention.
Bobrovsky number 3. He had a 935.
But was this really a Bob's? I don't think he was the third.
I like the Bobrovsky at 3 better than the Marchand at 2. Does that?
I'm not pounding Marchand. Marchand's not at 2.
Okay. Bobrovsky, I'll give him Bobrovsky.
I don't want to give him Kochekov. I really don't.
He did get into the series.
He got in the series,
but he got pumped 6 damn goals.
Then I want to take. So then I want to take.
At the very least, you should get half.
All right, but I'll give him Kochekov. I'll give him Kochekov.
I was just gonna say, if you didn't give me a point, I'm taking off a point for you guys putting Anderson in your top 5 in honorable mentions because he was a joke.
But no, I'll give him a point. I'm giving him a point.
I'll give him. All right, so we're at what, 4, 5?
And Jesper Boquist came in and scored.
Okay, Barkov, a point. Bobrovsky, a point. You're not giving enough on Marchand at 2. Jarvis at 4. Jones at 5. No,
no, not Jones.
Jarvis is closer, but no.
If I had Jarvis, honorable mention maybe.
Slavin, honorable mention. Reinhardt, no, he missed time. 4?
Yeah, 4. I'm feeling.
Well, hold on. Do I get a point for Boquist?
Yeah, that's what we're including.
Okay. Oh, he's getting a point there?
He came in and scored a big goal in game 3.
3 points, Kirby.
It's 3
we
points.
kind of got it. So I'm at 4.
Well, you said Slavin. I'm at 5.
So 5.
Okay, 5. Perfect. 5.
All right.
Oh,
wow. little generous there on the book.
Little generous.
Is it? How's it generous?
How
He came in.
Expect me not playing the whole series.
He came in and had 3 points.
Same way Etulo Starinen is a freaking X factor.
Oh, Boquist has got that.
Kirby's picks for those at home. Number 1, he had Alexander Barker. Number 2, Jacob Slavin. Number 3, Sergei Bobrovsky. Number 4, Seth Jarvis. Number 5, Sam Reinhart. Honorable mentions to Brittany Anderson and Brad Marchand. His factors were Etulo Starinen and Jackson Blake. Let's see.
I think Barkov 1, yes.
2.
Slavin not number 2. He was good.
Well, analytically.
I'm at 3.
You really want to pull the analytic card, Kirby?
I watched the games, Kirby. If they were down,
don't say he was dog water, Cody, or anything.
No, I think he was 5.
But when they were down, he did nothing.
He won the game for them. The only one game they won.
But when they were down, he did nothing.
I think Bobrovsky.
He did nothing.
I'm not picking defensemen anymore, Cody. That you think.
I think Bobrovsky number 3, absolutely.
He knew enough to do number 2. Are you kidding me? He won.
I'll be quiet. What's it?
I'll give you Barkov, Bobrovsky. I'm not giving you Anderson.
I'm at 3 because I'll give him
Marchand, not really. Low Starinen. I can't give you Losterine. He got ejected out of one game, and then he took himself out of
the other.
He took Blake out. I should get. Blake was pretty darn good, guys.
Yeah, but he wasn't. Come on.
Like, should we not have had any Carolina Hurricanes on here?
Oh, maybe. Looking
like,
back at it,
look how bad they played.
Looking back at it, Kirby, probably not. To be honest with you,
they were pretty bad. We beat them.
3 for Kirby.
We beat 5-2, 5-0, 6.
I'm always getting juked, but like I think Nick has 5. You said.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you're at 3. I'll give you 3.
And then Cody's.
For me, I had number 1, Alexander Borgo, number 2, Sam Reinhart, number 3, Seth Jarvis, number 4, Logan Stankoven, number 5, Sergei Bobrovsky. Honorable mentions to Freddie Anderson and Seth Jones. My X Factors were Aaron Ekblad and Taylor Hall.
Nick?
I don't think anything on the X Factors you get a point for, really. Not
Jarvis or Reinhardt because he had them higher than we.
Yeah, Jarvis and Reinhardt, no. I'm definitely giving you Barkov and Stankoven.
Okay, Stankoven. Yeah. Okay. Bob, little too low or what?
I think so. I think Bob was a top 3 player in this.
We gave you a point for him at 3, right?
Yeah.
We can't just give Bob points out, at 1, at 3, at 5.
I'm looking at my stuff. I think I'm at.
You shit on me for giving Bob 5 against Toronto. I remember that. We could pull up the clip.
Yeah, the one that crapped on him the whole series.
Yeah,
but this was going to be more of a goalie. But this was going to be more of a goalie series than.
I'm seeing like 2 to 3 points max for Cody.
2?
Hall was awful.
Yeah, Hall was bad.
What about freaking Ekblad?
I'll give you half a point on Ekblad.
Because
how the hell was that half?
So he's got 2.5.
He's our number 1. He's our first pair right shot guy on the power play.
I mean,
yeah.
And Jones, honorable mention. I'm not sure.
I'm at 2.5, 3 next.
Yeah, Jones. I don't even think he was.
No, because you didn't get.
I'll give you Barkov, Stankoven, Bobrovsky, and I'll give you half a point on Ekblad.
So I'm at 3.5.
I win.
So Nick wins at 5.
Yep.
Yeah, so as long as I beat Kirby, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm my score's in protest at 3 or whatever. Okay.
My X factor saved me.
because the defensive for the other team played okay.
I like Cody that he's like, I played hockey all my life and I was a defensive defenseman, and he's just like, Slavin, get out of here. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, but they got freaking blasted this series.
That game we had was one of the best analytic games that you could.
Kirby, do we really want to bring up analytics?
I'll next time put him on honorable mention.
So he's 1 for 5. What about the other freaking 4?
If they would have won this series, would
invisible.
If they would have won this series, would you have given me a point for Slavin that too? Because I would have been fighting that.
Well, they weren't really close, so I don't know.
No. It would have been a lot like how he played at the end.
Anyway, and
5-2, 5-2, 5-0, 6-1.
No, and all of us had
a point for the defensive
Cody's goalie that he wanted, Anderson.
All of us had Panthers in 6. I was leaning Panthers in 5.
I want to apologize to our community. I was giving too much of a lean and an edge to Anderson coming in on recent form. I'm not going to do that again in this series. I might not do it again in the future. Did I sleep on Bob a little bit last round? Maybe I did, because everyone was complaining at me after every post-game show in the Toronto series on Bob.
I also would like to apologize. I'm sick and I'm coughing and hacking through this episode. So if you're watching and my eyes are watery, that's why.
We need to have Nick here for his picks.
Yeah, no, but here the thing is like, I'll stand on wanting Freddie Anderson as a backup. I'll stand on that. I want him as a backup, not a starter.
I like him as the get though.
Some people want to back up for us next year and pay him $1 million, so that's besides the point.
I don't know about all that. I would like a pretty good backup,
I would like Vitek Vanacek to get the hell out of here.
Oh, you got to find better options.
I don't think that's going to be too hard. I don't think that's going to be too hard. Kirby, you got goalie pads, right?
Anton Forsberg. I did. I sold a pair. I don't know.
Jake Allen, Anton Forsberg. I think those are 2 pretty good backups.
Kirby, you like Forsberg. There we go.
Yeah, I do. He has injury concerns, just like Freddie Anderson, but okay.
Yeah, but you know who goalie he likes freaking Artur Shilovs. Look how he ended up.
We'll give him a shot. You want Shilovs instead of Vanacek next year, Nick?
I think I'd rather take a bag of rocks instead of Vanacek, if you want me to tell you the truth. I've never been a fan of Vitek Vanacek.
We will clip that if Vanacek comes into the Stanley Cup Final and wins a game.
Stop it! Don't even say that.
I'd be on
What's wrong with you?
All right. Here's the thing. Blame Kurt. Everyone boo this man. Boo him in the comments down below.
If that happens,
injuries happen.
If it happens, boo him in the comments.
No, it's over at that point. That's good. As Nick says.
Okay, but our top
we're
5
done
here.
if that happens.
But
I'll ask
moving
Skinner
on.
to come on over.
Okay, our top 5. Cody, would you like to go first? I'm not going first.
I'm going last like I usually do.
Hey, Nick,
Kirby wants to change it up. He wants me to go first now.
Nick, go first.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to have to do it like that.
Okay. Start at 5? Okay. Number 5, I have Evan Bouchard. I do think that they're going to get off on the power play a bit. We talked about it earlier. I don't trust our penalty kill as much. I don't think it's going to be atrocious, but I do think there is a game or two where Edmonton is really going to show off a bit. And I think Bouchard has, he's going to be in every single goal on the power play, essentially. I mean, I think that shot from the point, which we know Bobrovsky is susceptible to, especially with traffic in front, can be a problem. It has been in the past. I think Bouchard at 5 is appropriate.
Jump in there, Nick. I don't know how many power play points he has currently, but coming into the finals last year, he had 12.
And I actually could tell you the power play points right now. Power play points for Evan Bouchard, he only has 4 this year, 4 of his 17. So the other 13 are at even strength. So
only 4 for him.
Yeah, so 13 even strength of points. I mean, if he's over a point per game in the series, I think that automatically makes him top 5. At number 4, talked about it earlier, I think he's going to have a much better series. His best hockey in this playoffs was last series. I'm going to go with Matthew Tkachuk. I think it's about time that he steps up. I think he did that last round, and I think he's going to continue into this round. I think that second line can get some favorable matchups. I think Barkov's going to be matched up with either Draisaitl or McDavid, and I think Lundell will be matched up with whoever Barkov's not matched up with. I think that allows that second line to get the favorable matchups against whoever Knobloch puts out there, especially at home, unless what Maurice has done is actually put that second line up against those top lines to kind of isolate Barkov and get him away from those guys a bit. Number 3, I have Leon Draisaitl. He wasn't healthy last year. He is this year, and he's one of the best players in the world. There's not really an explanation for it. It's Leon Draisaitl. But again, I think the power play is struggling a bit there. We're going to in this series. And Draisaitl being motivated because, sure, he wasn't too happy. He couldn't be 100% last year.
And let me get this off my chest. I was looking at one of the news casts. I forget which one. And they were talking about the Stanley Cup Final. And the reporter goes, Edmonton has 2 of the best players in the game, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And I'm like, Draisaitl?
Number 2, I don't have Draisaitl. I have McDavid. I think Connor McDavid again.
I already know who's number 1.
McDavid, best player in the world. He was very good last year. I think even in series that he's lost, McDavid has been one of the best players in the series. Number 1, I think Alexander Barkov.
I knew that one.
Best two-way center in the game. I think he is up there with any player in the league. And I think, again, if you're going to win.
Take home the Conn Smythe?
I'll get to that in a bit. I think that Alexander Barkov, again, I think he's going to need to slow down. I'm not going to say shut down. Slow down a bit of McDavid, and I think he can do that. And if he's able to do it, if we're going to win this series, Alexander Barkov is going to be the best player in this series. It's just the way it is, right? Now, I don't want it to be like last year where we do what we did for 3 games, but Alexander Barkov's number 1 for me. And then as my honorable mentions, I have Sergei Bobrovsky. I didn't think that.
Now, there's another guy that was the best player for us last year with Barkov after 3 games.
Oh, yeah, he's.
It was 1A, 1B for the Conn Smythe with those 2.
Oh,
until McDavid entered into the whole narrative and all the points.
We're not going to relive those games last year, Kirby, because they're not existing in my mind anymore. Sergei Bobrovsky, I mean, I think, again, the goaltending battle, I think we have the clear advantage. And I do think with my prediction, which I'm going to predict in just a second here, I think we can get to our game. I think Barkov can kind of slow down a bit of McDavid. I also think part of that is going to be because Bobrovsky's coming up with some big saves. He's going to be susceptible to maybe a bad game in this series, or he gives up a bunch of goals, or he gives up a goal here or there. Like a game or two. But I think for the most part, Sergei Bobrovsky is going to keep us in this. He's going to make the big saves when he needs to, and the rest of our team will come through. And then I think Sam Reinhart finally kind of breaks out of it in this series. Kind of been a quiet playoff for him. 0 power play goals was previously mentioned here. I think he finally gets on the board in that regard. I think he gets a power play goal in this series. And I think, again, if we're going to win, slowing down McDavid is not just Alexander Barkov. It's the other Selke nominee, Sam Reinhart, who's right next to him. So I think that is going to be key. I think a couple of other guys I was mentioning, Zach Hyman would have been here, but he's hurt. So I think that's a big loss for Edmonton. And my X factors, I didn't know where the hell I was supposed to go with this because
I didn't either. I switched mine around.
What the hell? Do I have a guy if Andrew Kane and Corey Perry in the top 6? It's I can't really do that. So I'm going to go with Connor Brown. I think that's the safe bet here.
Hey, that was my original. I switched off of that. I'll get to that later.
I think I'm going to go with Connor Brown, key penalty killer for them. I think he's really surprised a lot of guys this year. He didn't have a goal up until game 55 or 60 of last year.
Yes.
He comes in and terrorizes us.
I think it was later than that.
65 games maybe last
year. It was probably close to
82. I think he's been excellent this year. I think there's going to be times where maybe if Edmonton is asleep a bit at the wheel, Brown's going to be the guy to wake them up. He really is an energy player. He can get that team going a bit, especially on the forecheck, where again they're going to need to do if they can't rely on the rush. And then I'm going to go Kirby's guy and Cody's. Eetu Luostarinen.
Again?
Yeah. I don't really know what depth pieces. I'm not picking Jesper Boqvist again. I think that was I pulled that out of my ass.
You got points on it.
I pulled it out of my ass, and I'm not going to need to do it again. So I'll go Eetu Luostarinen and Connor Brown. And my prediction, Panthers in 6.
Oh, he's giving it right now. Okay. Panthers 6 on home ice.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Do we need to go through that, or we're good there, Cody?
It's kind of funny. The Panthers have not won a series this postseason on home ice.
So then it would make sense for them to win the final one on home ice, wouldn't it?
Oh, there we are. So there's Nick's picks, right? Got them on the screen there. Do I go through them again, Nick, or anything?
We'll
Just go through them really quickly.
So, number 1, Alexander Barkov. Number 2, Connor McDavid. Number 3, Leon Draisaitl. Whoever the hell that guy is. Draisaitl. We'll go with that. Now, Leon Draisaitl. Matthew Tkachuk at number 4. Evan Bouchard at number 5. Honorable mentions are Sergei Bobrovsky and Sam Reinhart. My X factors are Connor Brown and Eetu Luostarinen. And I have the Florida Panthers winning the Stanley Cup in 6 games.
Thank you, Nick. Now, I just want to mention to our audience, if this is the first time you're hearing us here, appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the Cats and Rats channel here down below. For the honorable mentions, we can pick from the same team like Nick did there. The X factors, we're trying to pick from one from each team. And then our top 5 can consist of whatever players on both rosters. So let's go with mine here. At number 5, there's a guy that I left off that I'll mention here a little bit on my honorable mention list, but I thought, I don't have goalies anywhere on my list. Not honorable mention, not X factor, not my top 5, nowhere to be seen here. I think it's a little bit more a high event hockey, which I'll get into here in a second. That worries me. At number 5, I've got Seth Jones. I think he returns to more form like he did in the Toronto series versus what he was in the Carolina series. He wasn't bad in the Carolina series. He was just a little bit more quiet. But I think if the Panthers are to win this series, I'm going to get into it with another pick here in a little bit. Seth Jones is very vital on that middle pairing there to shut down Edmonton. Yes, there's certain plays that he might get beat on foot speed, but I think he could come up with big goals, big defensive plays, and we might see some overtimes here, guys, and I think big minutes in overtime. So Seth Jones at number 5. You want to put that on the screen, Cody?
Not right now. I have a way of doing it right now. Just keep going.
Okay. At number 4, I've got Anton Lundell. I've backed this guy all year long. Why not go with him here? And I think the matchups are really key where we're going to see the Barkov on the McDavid line, especially on the road, but then we're going to throw the Anton Lundell line out there. And if Lundell is doing things defensively by shutting down McDavid, I think he's a top 5 player in this series. And then just adding points onto that, that's just the cherry on the top. So I think Anton Lundell is going to be a driver in this series. I've talked about it so many times on our post-game shows. One of our best two players in the Vegas Stanley Cup Final. I went back and watched film last night on the Edmonton series. Anton Lundell is all over the ice and all over the highlight reel in that series against Edmonton last year. I'd say he was a top 3, top 5 player for us last year. So I think this guy, he plays the best when the lights are the brightest in the Stanley Cup Final. Anton Lundell at number 4. Cody's head's going to start to explode here in a second. At number 3, Alexander Barkov. Doesn't going to indicate necessarily where my pick is here. I think he's going to be good, but as good as last year, I don't see it, okay?
And I already know who's 2-1. I'm just going to write him.
You don't know, Cody. You don't know. So number 3, Alexander Barkov, I think he has to be very key in this series.
I have an idea.
I just wonder how much moments Alexander Barkov will be able to contribute offensively. I don't know if he'll have a moment or two like he did against Carolina. That was more situated to Barkov in that series. This is tough, Simon, for Barkov on the road. He's going to get all the toughest matchups. You just got to tread water here. So, again, could he finish 3? Could he not be on this list? Could he be number 1? I can see him anywhere. I don't know what to expect, and that worries me a little bit. At number 2 and number 1. Number 2, Connor McDavid. I don't have him.
I got it backwards.
Okay, I know you did. I've been thinking about this all along. Everyone is trying to anoint. This is Connor McDavid's cup. He's going to be back-to-back Conn Smythe winner. Well, no, I'm not going quite that far. But I think he's going to go toe-to-toe with Barkov. It's going to be so slim at which one kind of pulls ahead here. But you'll see in a second here with my number 1. My number 1, Leon Draisaitl. I'm picking him now. Cody's head's going to explode. Like I said, whether they win or lose the Stanley Cup, I'm picking Leon Draisaitl to be the Conn Smythe winner. I think he's going to outperform McDavid in this series points-wise. I think he is going to score goals at a high rate. What did he score? What 0 goals last year in the final?
3.6 in the 7 games.
Yeah.
No goals.
Yeah, he couldn't shoot the puck.
Like UC Saros in that commercial, no goals.
I'm seeing 4, 5, 6 goals from Draisaitl here in the final. I'm seeing 2 on the power play. Me and Cody talked about this on the post-game show. He's going to rip some on the 1-T, kind of beat Bob's short side. Fans are going to lose their mind. But you know what, Nick? It's Leon Draisaitl shooting that puck. So fans, they can get on Bob all they want. And Bob's supposed to have that one. It's Leon freaking Draisaitl. So he is my Conn Smythe winner and number 1 player in this series. But my pick is the Florida Panthers in 7 games. Am I super confident about it? Nope. I feel about a 52% odd chance here. 54 if you want to stretch it. Literal coin flip. It wouldn't shock me if the Oilers win this series in 5. If the series goes long and Florida is wearing down Edmonton, that's where I see Florida winning this series. If we get punched in the mouth early, we don't win game 1 like I mentioned, I'm going to start to be a bit concerned here that it could be a short series. If we win game 1, I got a lot of faith in our guys. This is the least I've been confident, Cody, since 2023 when you and I both picked Boston in how many games? I believe it was 5. You picked him in 6? Okay, I'm in 5. And who could have ended that series in 5 if he would have scored?
We don't talk about that because no, he's on your team.
That's Brad Marchand. He's on my honorable
mentions. Who are your honorable mentions?
Yeah, my honorable mentions, Brad Marchand, and I was really close to putting this guy in my top 5 where I have Seth Jones, but I didn't quite do it, Nick. Matthew Tkachuk. So I'm going Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk. Again, I picked Florida to win in 7, so you're going to start to see more of the names here. Now, my X Factors, you mentioned his name, Nick, and I switched him because I saw other people pick him as an X Factor, so I'm going to hold to that. I believe Ryan Rashad was the one. I originally thought Connor Brown. I was thinking Corey Perry as well, but I think Corey Perry might dip in this series in a bad way and regress. I'm going with Evander Kane. If the Edmonton Oilers are going to win this series in 5 or win it early, he's going to be dominating out there. Kane might be, Perry might be helping out. Nugent Hopkins might still be a little on fire, but I think the key guy for them is Evander Kane. What was he last year? Injured with that hernia. He was on the bench, but he couldn't really play.
I think he's still kind of hurt, but he's not 100%.
Not 100%, but he's still tearing it up. And then my other X factor, I think this is the most important defensive pairing. I'm worried about Ekblad and Forsling, guys.
I think I got it right.
Nico,
Let's go. I got that right.
If we're going to win the Stanley Cup, Jones and Mikkola, they're going to be force out there. They're going to shut everything down in the neutral zone. They're going to be stepping up offensively. They're going to be coming up with big goals, big moments. I'm looking for big things from that middle pairing. So I have Jones as my number 5.
Montour in a Schmidt jersey.
What?
Maybe we should put Montour in a Schmidt jersey.
Do that.
He ain't bald and white. Like, that ain't happening.
But I don't know if Cody feels that way. I think Cody's got a lot of pushback on my list with the middle pairing there, the Panthers.
I just have the pushback with the Conn Smythe thing. I think the winner's going to have the Conn Smythe winner. I don't think the loser's going to have a Conn Smythe winner.
I am, but again, I'm barely leaning Florida here. But I think win or lose. Because do you think a Panther's going to outperform Draisaitl if he's putting up those numbers to win the Conn? I think the Conn Smythe.
I don't think he's putting up those numbers. I don't think he's putting up 6 goals.
Okay.
If he puts up 6 goals, Kirby.
If he puts up 6
I'll
goals,
be on vacation in about a
this
week.
series is over in next week.
Where did Edmonton get all their goals last year? From their depth forwards. Why can't it be reversed this year where Draisaitl's?
Because we're
They've lost series like that before with McDavid and Draisaitl.
But here's my other question.
I just don't know if we have a guy doing that. Right now we have Bennett.
But here's a question to you. Ever since Paul Maurice has become our coach, who's the last quote-unquote superstar to really get off on us? There's only been one guy, really, in my head.
Tyler Bertuzzi.
Pasternak. It was Pasternak.
It was? Okay.
Yeah. Like, because he had the goal of the playoffs.
Point, but that wasn't.
Gosh, don't remind me, Cody.
Like, that
was freaking out on that penalty kill.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm like, we're okay. And then this guy just does that. And I'm like, what the hell are we supposed to do on that?
Cody's got my picks down there at the bottom, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was doing the entire time. I was kind of switching it up. But I didn't like it that way. I tried it. We're going to go back to the other way. My bad, Kurz. I just wanted to try it that way.
Yeah, but save that because I got to type that in.
You know, it's already saved. Everything's saved. I kind of just changed it all.
Awesome. That'll be on our recap show.
Cody, what is your list?
By the way, the Charlotte Checkers are on their way to the Calder Cup Finals.
Ooh.
They swept Laval.
Congratulations, Jamie. Don't tag me later.
That means Vomanis is coming up to the big club next year.
Hey, Kirby. Hey, Jamie. Don't tag me later. Don't tag anyone.
And guess who scored the game winner with I think less than 6 minutes left? Yessi Puljujärvi.
Oh, there we go. I want him on our team during the playoffs.
Is he going to score the Stanley Cup winning goal, Kirby?
Winning goal against his former team who drafted him, the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah,
that'd be absolutely hilarious, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But
in overtime.
I think you can finally finish now. Huh? Congratulations.
But going into this top 5 here.
Yeah. Were you typing yours out there, Cody?
No, unfortunately, I was trying to type y'all's.
Okay, I'll help you professionally stall here.
But I'm not going to do it all right now. I'm just going to do it the clicker for right now, like the way I was doing it with Nick's, since it's mine.
Yeah, whatever. Just make sure it's on for our YouTube audience.
Oh, boy. Here we go. My top 5.
At number 5.
At number 5.
The suspense.
Give me Carter Verhaeghe.
Oh, okay.
Cody's been going to the well on him all playoffs.
And the one time I didn't, he was actually a top 5 player in the series. So, I mean, I'm pretty upset about that. As you can see by my Twitter banner, I am the number 1 Verhaeghe believer. And I've defended this guy this year with his tough year. Nick's about to fall asleep on us here.
Oh, I'm sick, man. My eyes are watery. I'm freaking sneezing and coughing all over the place.
Nick might not make it to game 1 recap.
Get a stronger immune system. Jesus.
I'm questionable for tomorrow.
But what for me with Verhaeghe is, I think there's a bunch of phrases in sports, and there's one phrase I think I live by. Big time players make big time plays. And Carter Verhaeghe's a big time player.
What is it? 13 playoff game-winning goals.
He has like 13 playoff game winners, like 3 series winners.
Yep.
And he has like 3 overtime. Like I think he's like 5 overtime winners or something like that.
Wow. And he's up there with Joe Sakic and Maurice Rocket Richard in the record books for playoff. Winners. I believe.
Yeah, but he's got to be swaggy this series. Got to be.
Who scored the first goal last year in the Stanley Cup Final?
Carter Verhaeghe, who opened up games.
What a call by Cuthbert! I know. I was just gonna say, what's that, Cody?
And guess who scored the first goal of Game 7 to help to get the pressure off the Panthers in that game?
Oh, who predicted that? That would be me. And the other guy, Reinhardt. Yeah. There we go.
Well, Carter Verhaeghe, I'm going with him.
Okay.
For my number 4.
Me and Nick did not have Carter Verhaeghe on our list, as I'll give Cody some time here to get his number 4 pick ready.
All right.
Are you doing this on the spot, Cody, or did you think about this?
I thought about it, but I wasn't sure on a couple of these.
I wrote mine out because I was originally going to have Corey Perry, then I switched
in
Connor Brown.
His potential last series as a Florida Panther.
No.
Give me Aaron Ekblad.
What the hell is going on?
I will give Cody a little bit of lenience on this. I actually will. But go ahead, Cody.
But Aaron Ekblad has been the most underrated defenseman this postseason.
Agreed.
He is close to a point per game this postseason. He's been a key figure on this power play. He's had a couple times where he's had shots deflected on the power play. And he's been stellar defensively, has not had any Ekblad moments yet. If you say Game 3 versus Tampa, that was Forsling, not Ekblad. You go back and look at the film.
Yeah, when he's in, he's good.
When he's
is he in?
He ain't getting suspended again.
He better not.
I think
I hope
any
not.
bad moments or bad periods of stretch of play in the playoffs, Bobrovsky has cleaned up for him.
Yeah.
But I will say it's been
But-
better than like Boston last year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but I think he's been better than the year before. But then again, the year before, he has a lot more of an excuse because look at the injuries he was playing with. I mean, torn oblique, dislocated a shoulder twice, broken foot. I mean, all the above.
But again, I'm going to say the dude's been suspended twice in these playoffs. Like,
He got suspended once coming in, and then he got suspended again once he came back.
Missed games
But-
on both of those.
But anyway, but
Okay,
at
that was
number
interesting to grade. Go on.
at number 3,
So Panther heavy here. I feel
yeah, so far, it's ending right now.
an Oiler coming.
Leon Draisaitl.
All right.
Oh, a little low there at 3.
It's
Where I have him.
yeah.
Oh,
But
you
the thing
both-
is with Draisaitl is I think we're going to do a pretty good job neutralizing him on the penalty kill. Though I do think there's going to be a couple goals in this series where it's just all world Draisaitl.
remember the
'Cause there
red
was-
season where he scored that 1T on the power
Yeah,
play?
yeah.
Something like
No,
that.
but I wasn't even thinking about that one because I think we'll take away that pass because of the film in the series.
Last
He's
year
not
we
score-
took it away and Bob made the save once or twice. And remember, Draisaitl wasn't healthy to
But
fully
goalies watch film. So, but I think
set him up for the one.
But I'm going to talk about a different goal that he scored this year. And it was in Sunrise where he overpowered forwards and kind of stiffed them off to the net, one-handed at top shelf. I could see that type of goal happening. Because Draisaitl isn't like, he's a good skater, but he isn't like, all world like a McDavid or McKinnon. But he's powerful as an ox. Strong.
Yeah, putting a guy
Could take a look. If you go back and look at the goal I'm talking about, it was
Remember
at
that?
home
The one
this
where he
year
pulled the stick there.
where he's holding Forsling off like that type. I can see that.
But I'm like, I didn't want a penalty there. We said that on our post-game show. You can be crafty with that. A lot of guys are.
I don't think that's a penalty because that's just an overpowering move. And let's be real, Barkov makes that exact same move.
And if he's doing that on Forsling, that's very scary, gentlemen.
But it's just like, but Draisaitl is undeniable, and I can't leave him off this list.
Yeah. And again, a lot of fans are going to think back to last year. That's not prime.
It's not
Draisaitl.
But I think he scores 3 goals. I don't think it's 6.
Okay, I'm going 5, 6, 7 might be a little ambitious.
If
Number
it's
2,
7,
I have Alexander Barkov. Because once again, I don't think this is going to be a heavy offensive series for him because of the defensive assignments he has. And I don't, if he does get off offensively, it's because we're getting off on the power play. And he's getting the assist, or he's firing right off the faceoff like he did versus Toronto.
If Barkov's getting power play points, even assists, I think 2 is like easily attainable. Easily.
Yeah. So that's my thinking. But I think he'd also get 2 through his defensive work and he'll have, and the way Barkov has been, he's going to have a key moment somewhere. And it's going to be big to end a series. Look at the Carolina series. Had that big moment to end their season in Game 5.
One of his big moments was in Game 1, setting up Carter Verhaeghe in the Stanley Cup Final last year.
Yeah, and I think that's a play.
Getting birding by McDavid. That was maybe the.
And I think that's a play McDavid still remembers, because that's a play you learn. Okay, this is how you win.
We made a little meme and gif in our community. Catch Me If You Can, the old movie there, with Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, I believe.
But number 1, it's Connor McDavid.
But you said the losing player in this series.
But
to win the call. Are you picking Edmonton? Oh, no. Nick, you were talking off air, Nick. Everyone doesn't come at Kirby. I was the most confident maybe of the three of this series, but I'm not super confident.
I'm not super confident in game Panthers in 6. That's more hoping. I'm just gonna
say
all that right now.
That wasn't an actual prognostication pick by you,
There
Nick.
is a way.
That's all emotion.
But Connor McDavid, I think because there are certain guys in every sport where you can only hope to contain, but you can't stop. He's one of them.
I would like to stop this BS. I don't know why we had to do this rematch. We got to deal with this story, the McDavid show again. Oh, well, you can't stop him, but you can hope to contain him. I'm like, I'd rather deal with Rope Hintz than this guy.
No, we got to get, before we leave, I almost forgot, we do have to get to our listener feedback question.
I was going to save that to the end, by the way.
Yes,
that was on my docket.
Yeah, there's one pertaining to
Cody, what are your honorable mentions, and then break our hearts with your pick?
Well, finish with McDavid if you want to say
But
more.
McDavid is just, he's going to have a moment in this series. He had a moment last year in Game 5 where he dangled around somebody and got the puck to Corey Perry.
Yes.
But he's going to have a moment like that.
The Lego statue of that. The guy didn't even win the Stanley Cup.
I think he's going to probably have 2 or 3 moments like that this series. And my honorable mentions... I'm going to put this guy there because he's been a great offensive defenseman for him, Evan Bouchard. I just don't think he's going to get off on us, really. Defensemen really don't have that great of a time scoring against us in the postseason. The only defense that really had like the best time against us has been Shea Theodore 2 years ago. Ever since then, it's been kind of just but Bouchard's going to have a bomb somewhere. You know it's coming. And then for the Panthers, it's Matthew Tkachuk. He's got to be somewhere in this series.
Even if honorable mention, I think that's really good because there's so many highly ranked players in this series.
Yeah, it's easily that.
It's not a downplay on Matthew Tkachuk.
But X factors. Going to go to the guy I fear the most on Edmonton. This is going to be funny. We're going Matthias Janmark.
This whole series is going to give me PTSD, man.
I don't want to, like, the one words that I always...
Janmark down the wing. Oh, no.
Because if you're playing a different team like Dallas, Cody, you're like, oh, look at this role player. Look at that role player. We got PTSD from all the role players last year from Edmonton.
Thankfully, they're on different lines.
And they got rid of some of them.
Like,
here comes Vasily Botkolzin and Sperry Kapanen to make it more nightmares.
With Toronto, okay. Yeah,
if those two aren't our nightmares, then we're screwed. And then for Florida, I think it's Dmitry Kulikov.
What the hell?
Kulikov's returning to Game 7.
Cody's just trying to milk this until he breaks our hearts.
But Kulikov has been the worst defenseman for Florida this postseason, and I don't think it's close.
So if what you're saying is Dmitry Kulikov is going to win the series for us in overtime.
Yeah, but he's got to be better defensively. He's got to be.
That's going to be our Alec Martinez moment right there.
How are we marking this X factor? Pulling a big hip check.
I don't care. Be Brent Seabrook. Throw something on the net. Carl Gunnarsson. I don't care. Like, the thing is, it's just with Kulikov, but he plays such a he's such a big part of their our penalty kill that he needs to be at his best here. And
maybe we'll look for big minutes in an overtime game or something.
And he can't take dumb penalties, like the 2 dumb penalties in the period.
You're gonna get minus points for penalties on that.
Like, no, I'm not. Like, it's kind of just an X factor.
If we're upset enough.
if we're just so happy we don't even give a damn at that point.
Dmitry Kulikov, you got a lifetime achievement contract. Good on
you. But he's mine for Florida.
He's gonna need to re-earn that this year.
4 years, 1.15.
Anyway, Cody, what is your pick?
I said it yesterday on Spaces.
Those are the X factors.
I said it yesterday on Spaces.
Here we go.
And unfortunately,
it
has not changed.
You said you were going to say it on the podcast.
I did, but I was leaning one way yesterday.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm still leaning today.
Okay.
I got Oilers in 7.
Oh, yeah. So that would be what, Nick, with you there? Potentially me.
Oh, you're going to be there too, pal. All right. You're not getting out of this.
If we were there, we could say, if we are there for that game, we could say, oh, Cody.
My
was
reasoning being,
you know what we do with the laptop?
Cody was right.
My
reasoning being is there's a bunch of
We're
different ways
laughing, everyone, so we don't cry. Okay.
Yeah, Kirby. Well, then we look Kirby. Then we get out of there. We're like,
you know what? And I hope I'm reading for this on Space because that means
you picked Rangers last year.
Cody,
I did pick the Rangers.
I
did pick the Rangers.
I would have more leaned Edmonton in 5 than Edmonton in 7, but
But the thing is just that Edmonton's really good at is our Achilles heel. The stretch passes, the turnovers at the blue line, like the turnovers in the neutral zone that can be capitalized on. Like those are what worry me the most.
No, and that is very warranted. And that is a way where I can see the series slipping away when I say if it does end in a short form, I'm going Edmonton. Last year, I picked Florida to win in 5 in the first 3 of 4 games. Not 3 in a row, but the first 3 of 4. This year, I feel that would be more Edmonton. I think the Panthers got to go toe-to-toe with Edmonton, guys. Back and forth, game here, game there.
So to recap on those picks, I have Florida in 6 on a hope. Kirby is Florida in 7 off a coin toss, and Cody is brave enough to say what many are thinking. Edmonton in 7.
It's just
Panthers in 6. We got this.
Edmonton are the slight favorites coming into the series by Vegas odds
because they do have home ice, and the revenge factor I think is a very real thing. Because
that worried me a bit, Cody, with Vegas odds because the Panthers were highly at the top all year from Vegas.
Yeah, but the way Edmonton's played this postseason.
Yeah,
it's kind of changed things around.
I think it's Panthers in 6. We got this, boys.
Okay, there we go.
Hey,
there we go. Hey.
This is the least confident I've been since the Boston series.
Me and Cody love being wrong in Boston, Florida in 2020.
I love nothing more than when Kirby and Cody are wrong. So this should be a fun.
Yeah, because it's never like
or a very devastating week or two. We're gonna find out.
Florida in 7 and 6. You want to split hairs here, but we'll figure that out. That might be a time. We got to add up our predictions on After Dark with Caesar and see who's leading.
Kirby, you're going to the Calgary Zoo if we go to 7 again. I hope you know that.
Even if
you're going to the Calgary Zoo, and then you're driving up to Edmonton. That's how it's going to work. How long?
No, I can't. Not the same day.
Yup, same day.
No, I don't know.
Wait, what's he doing the same day?
I won't be awake.
He's going to go to the Calgary Zoo.
He says go to Edmonton for game.
And then you're driving up to Edmonton to meet me.
And then Nick is watching Game 7 from a cruise ship in the middle of.
No,
BFE.
I'm going. If there's a Game 7,
he says he's going. I take it
go.
down. I'll be like the red eye or something. I got to go early in the morning. Zoo, let me in. You're not even open yet. Let me in. I need to come in now. I go in, just do a little loop.
I just need to stand in there for 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
But anyway,
we got to get to fan comments. Questions?
Yeah, but recapping my top 5. Number 1, Connor McDavid. 2, Alexander Barkov. Number 3, Leon Draisaitl. Number 4, Aaron Ekblad. Number 5, Carter Verhaeghe. Honorable mentions to Evan Bouchard and Matthew Tkachuk. My X Factors are Dmitry Kulikov and Matthias Janmark.
We'll type in Nick's there later. We will share that during the
Nick's is right here.
Is it? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Cody did the work for me. Appreciate it. Got it there on our YouTube channel. Everyone make sure to check our YouTube channel out. Caesar's done a great job on our overlay.
Nick's fighting demons right now.
Dude, I am sniffling. My eyes are watery. Oh my gosh, dude.
Make sure one drop Caesar a follow. Caesar _inspires on YouTube as well.
I mean, if you weren't following him already, I mean, come on.
Give him
I think I know that guy. I think I see him at the ring sometimes.
Appreciate Caesar having us that community chat too. Everyone's like, "This is the podcast," or I'm like, "No, not quite. This is some type of wild hangout." You know, it was fun. Nick, I said tarps off, and then Oldie takes his shirt off. Yeah. I got to wear.
How are you watching the Stanley Cup? Hold on. How are you watching the Stanley Cup Final, Kirby? You're gonna wear.
Yeah, I can't be in Game 7 for a clinching game with tarps off. They'll kick me out of the arena, Nick.
Oh no, they can't. So you're gonna have to wear your Luongo shirt.
I'm not doing that on national television.
You're gonna have to bring a little drum. Luongo's gonna have to come down. He's gonna have to bang the drum right there.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Caesar needs to hit the drum, and Stephen Weiss needs to hit the drum for the series.
Shout out my post. Yeah. But our fan questions here. Our first question. Comes from our friend at Dragon's Quest.
That's Jamie.
Who do you think wins the Conn Smythe?
Who do you think wins the Conn Smythe? Jamie's asking. Well, I got Leon
I
Draisaitl.
think there was more to that question, Cody.
Yeah, but there's his picks. His picks are Bob Barkov and Mikkola. And then McDavid or Stuart Skinner for the Oilers.
Stuart Skinner wins the Conn Smythe. I'm out of there.
If Stuart Skinner wins the Conn Smythe, that means we scored 1 goal this series.
We were looking at the stars out there.
What,
like I have 3 for each team just to kind of because I think if there is a dark horse to win it, I think it's more on Florida's side than Edmonton side.
Barkov, Bobrovsky.
Okay. Draisaitl, McDavid, Marchand, my 3.
Marchand, really?
My 3.
Well, you think he has a big series then, right?
Especially if it goes in the favor of Florida here. Yeah. And what again, you don't win the Conn Smythe like in the NBA for your final performance. It's for the whole body of work in the playoffs.
Okay.
Now, who do I think's going to win or who do I think they'll vote for? Because that's 2 different things.
Win. Like if it's your ballot.
In my ballot, for Edmonton, I'll go McDavid, Draisaitl. I don't think there's a third. I think it's one of those 2.
So you're with me then.
Yeah. Sorry, geez, I'm fighting right now, man.
You are. Cody, what was your 3?
My eyes are watering, man.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard.
Yeah, you guys are all on Draisaitl.
And then I don't think there's a 3. I don't think they're going to go anything other than McDavid and Draisaitl.
Bouchard over Cody.
And then I think for the Panthers, it's either going to be Bobrovsky. I think Barkov potentially. I could see Marchand, especially if he has a big series, like 8-9 points.
I think when you're talking voters, I think there's Barkov, like slander, disrespect, fatigue.
Barkov, Bobrovsky, Etu Luosterainen.
If it's the Panthers.
We're never going to hear the end of it if that happens.
Oh, well.
Oh my goodness, Marchman will never have his name will never be said.
That would cap like Justin Williams winning. Didn't he win it one year?
But Benny asks, your X Factor for the series, McDavid and Draisaitl are not going to win it alone. Neither are Sasha and Rhino. Who do you see depth-wise stepping up and ultimately leading that team to the cup?
I don't think it comes from a depth guy.
No, I don't think so.
Unless you count Marchand as a depth guy.
I think he is. He's in the bottom 6.
Well, our top 5, you look at my top 5, it's the best players in the series.
I think it's
Brown and Janmark were last year. Could you say they drove them, but they lost in 7?
If it's for Edmonton, I think you could go Kapanen. Kapanen's had a really good postseason for him. For Florida, Marchand, Lusto.
I'm going like Marchand and Evander Kane. I don't know if you could call Corey Perry a depth guy because he's going to be on the top line now.
I still consider him a depth guy because that's not where he's originally slotted.
I think things go really sideways if these are the 4 best players for Edmonton. Nugent Hopkins, Evander Kane, Corey Perry, and Stuart Skinner.
You know, it's funny. We haven't even mentioned Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah, he's been
Kirby loves Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
I think
Red Deer Rebel legend.
I think he looks good against soft opponents. When it gets tougher,
yeah,
and the ice starts to shrink, that's why I think he's not going to be a key factor.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Hopefully,
Chuck Jones asks, "Can the Lundell line shut down McDavid because the Panthers don't have the last change?" No. I think they could. I don't shut down as
slow it down at best.
Very loaded word, but they can compete with them. They're not going to get absolutely battered by them. The Bennett line is the one I'm worried about versus McDavid.
Oh my god,
that's what I'm worried about.
If it's Bennett,
that's the one.
Like freaking
It's not even Bennett. I'm worried about Kachuk. I'm not worried about Bennett.
Gosh, dude,
Bennett's improved as much as Bennett drives me up a wall. His defensive play has improved this year. He's
guys out defensively. I even saw it last year.
Tony, I'm sorry. I'll walk away from the TV if Matthew Kachuk's pinned in the defensive zone with one of those guys out there. I'm like, all right, well.
No, I'm worried about from blue to blue, the neutral zone below by.
Yeah, because that's where we get blown by. But
then it's
and then you know what Matthew Kachuk starts doing?
Yeah, I want to change. And then
I want to change. I want to change.
What are we changing? We're like it's a 3-on-1.
Back the other way.
Right.
And
then Jones breaks it up.
And then we got a signing a Bennett contract one. I'm going to say it on the podcast here.
Yep.
We are not answering any questions about a Sam Bennett contract, an Aaron Ekblad contract, a Brad Marchand contract. We are in the Stanley Cup Final.
So if you're asking us questions on the recap show, can you please keep it to that game and the series? Because when we go down that path, it takes so much away from the moment. And Cody, we will have Bennett coverage and trade deadline stuff in the next 10 to 20 days here.
Listen,
a lot of it.
Listen, wait till June 21st, when the day after Game 7, if it goes 7, that's when we can talk about it.
I don't
Even
think if it doesn't go our way, we ain't talking about it June 21st.
Even if we're eliminated, we'll be there on the recap show. We'll answer some of the questions. If we win, I'd like to talk about being back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. That's just me.
But anyway.
That's if you're sober enough to be here.
Next up.
I fall down that trap. So you guys pull me out of that trap because the community gets me talking on that.
Okay.
Well, Kirby, that's if you're sober enough. But anyways.
And our boy, diehard Panthers fan says, what do the Panthers need to do to retain the Stanley Cup? And is there a way to stop McDavid and the high-powered power play for the Oilers? There is a way to stop the power play. It's called don't take a penalty.
What we need to do? What does Paul Maurice say, guys? Say it with me. Pound their effing D.
And also, it's a basketball term. You cannot stop McDavid. You can only hope to contain him. So that's we didn't stop him last year. But we contained them in certain games, in the games that we won.
Yeah, the real question.
We contained them in the crucial moments.
Here's the good news, guys. We don't have to worry about Warren Fogle. That's the good news.
No, I get to worry about Vasily Podkolzin.
That's this year's Warren Fogle.
But Edmonton, we talked about Avery about this. They don't got a lot of team speed. They lost Holloway. They lost Ryan McLeod. Yep. You got McDavid out there buzzing around.
How much scarier would they be if they had Dylan Holloway right now
and Ryan McLeod?
Oberg from the back end too.
I think if they had one of those two guys, I think I'd be a lot more worried.
I think could you imagine if they kept those guys, McLeod? They traded McLeod for nothing.
Yeah, they got like a third for him. I think they brought him into they got rid of him to sign Arvidsson.
If they lose again to the Panthers, they're going to look at the pieces that they should add. Even though like they've had this unbelievable run, they're going to be like, "What would have we been like? A cloud."
Well, we're not going to get there right now.
Chris Scott asks, "Are we getting the good Forsling or the bad Forsling?"
A lot of people ask that question.
I
have no idea.
I have no idea.
And that's what I'm saying. You guys talk about we've talked about Ekblad and Jones. I'm terrified of Forsling getting beat.
Because here's the
thing:
Forsling has had the worst turnover this postseason, and that was Game 5 versus Carolina, where he here you go, Aho. There you go.
And I worry about Forsling because I talked about this before Four Nations, and people saw it in Four Nations. The bank pass play, McDavid will try that little chip play behind and things like that. And that's where Hyman would have really hurt us, because then Hyman gets on that 2-on-1 with McDavid and he might be net driving. So without them having Hyman, that really hampers them. But if you get McDavid paired up with Draisaitl on the same line, guys, they might do that at times. And that's going to be the Forsling.
And that is the other thing. If Edmonton has to go back to double shifting them, the Panthers are going to win. That does not work against Florida. I'm sorry, because Tampa tried that with Kucherov. Guess how far that got them? Nowhere.
But can Ekblad and Forsling be able to maintain that?
I think they can.
Cover it.
It's funny. For the first time, I'm not actually more worried about Ekblad. I'm more worried about Forsling, because it's just with.
I would say that, but the split speed of Ekblad in this series, when that speed's coming direct,
he may look 10 times slower in this series. I don't think there's been there hasn't really been a point in this.
What?
There hasn't been really a point in this postseason where Ekblad's looked slow, but
Game 1 last year against McDavid, that concerned me with Ekblad.
But I think he's healthier this go around.
Okay. But again, Ekblad and Jones, they worry me about getting beat to the outside. They have to be able to push those guys off their line of attack, where you just get them towards the boards a little bit. They're still going to make net drives, but you got to push them off their line of attack.
Yeah.
And Forsling's great at doing that when everything's in front of him, but we got to have those.
Forsling has to just keep this game simple. puck in front, defend everything in front.
And be back with enough space where you can use your stick, which is Forsling's best part of his game.
Yeah.
And don't give the puck right to your number one.
Dump it in. Dump it in.
And no turnovers, like against all. They can't have any of those.
And don't try and go behind the net like he did all last series. Like
that was another turnover play.
What do we do? Like, come on.
People are like, they said the Forsling play is uncharacteristic, and he made 3, 4, 5 of these playoffs.
Yeah.
You know?
And then last but not least, Parrish. Why is it that one team just wants it more or just has that look in their eyes or doesn't have the superstar tone to match? Narratives about this series feel favorable for the other team going in. I mean, yeah, because they had whenever you're going against the best player in any league, the narratives are going to be for that player.
And Parrish, you know this from the NBA, NFL. Like what grabs all the storylines, the Super Bowl, the NBA
like
Final.
When the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, they're talking about Patrick Mahomes. They ain't studying Jalen Hurts.
Right now, the NBA Finals, even though he's a Canadian, shout out there, they're talking about SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, best player. So that's always going to be the case. So do we get upset with that in the NHL? Because we want to sell the superstar players, the generational players. And the NHL does a poor job of that a lot of times, Cody.
But unfortunately,
their fans, they're trying to sell the narrative in the game. Use that as your fuel. Don't be upset about it. Just
unfortunately,
we're going to be underdogs. That's good, right?
Unfortunately, our generational players have the personality of a wet sock. So that doesn't help us.
No, but I think the league has.
This is why Kachuk's getting the Jimmy Fallon invites, because guess what? He has personality.
But would our fans be upset? Cody, you and I got in a big screaming match on that with our After Dark. He was getting all the publicity for Four Nations. Our fans weren't upset at that. So you can't be upset if McDavid's getting all the publicity in the run now. And I know that's not what Parrish's question is there, but I know some of the reaction our fans get.
But I do think we
playing in this series. No. But it's good that they're trying to sell the game.
But I think we deserve a lot more respect in this series than what we're getting.
I haven't seen this much disrespect since the round one.
What does it surprise guys? We're Florida Panthers fans.
It doesn't surprise me, but I would think the Stanley Cup would help. But here's the thing.
With Paul Maurice, he gets a lot of.
But here's the thing: if we do end up winning this series, there's a lot of people that are going to be shut up about it because. At the end of this, people are calling it this.
From the first round?
It's
Cody, don't say the word, but we all know where you're going.
It is dynasty.
Nope, you said it.
Versus what they call destiny.
Oh, if Edmonton loses, they get some
because
of that Leafs publicity.
McDavid's getting all the comps. Gretzky lost his first Cup Final and won.
Yep.
Crosby lost his first Cup Final and won. And then won the second one.
Then the Oilers.
Heck, I'm hearing LeBron lost his first finals, and then he won the second.
Oh, they included that. Okay.
But here's the problem. He went to finals twice. He won the third. Morons.
Who?
The third, that's right, because he lost to Cleveland in the first Miami one.
Yes.
I remembered the Cleveland one against the Spurs. I forgot the Miami one. Against Nowitzki.
So what you're saying is McDavid can be LeBron. Perfect.
Yes.
There we go. McDavid.
There's a lot of titles that were enough.
Just be LeBron. We'll all be all right.
Just not this year, right? Okay, so before we go, my Canadian family and friends have chimed in, including my cousin from Vancouver Island. He's like, Kirby, I don't want McDavid and the Oilers to win, but I'm starting to kind of pull that way, and like McDavid deserves a title here. Then my relative from Edmonton said, there's only one Panther fan. If you guys beat us again, I know who I'm coming after this. So the Oilers better win. I'm like, no, we got more than one fan. We got at least 6 fans.
Give me the number. I'll send some messages.
Are they still mad at Carolina?
I should ask them.
Yeah, you should ask that.
They are mad at Carolina still. Ask Bob Stauffer.
Oh, okay. I don't want to ask him anything.
You guys want him on the podcast. You guys ask him to come on the podcast.
I don't want to talk to Bob Stauffer.
I think I'll make him cry and go away.
But what's the other message?
No, that was the 2 from my Vancouver Island cousin and then my Edmonton relative. There'll be some more for sure.
Yeah,
I think they're being a little quiet right now leading up to this.
But anything else?
No, not at all.
We'll be back.
But stay tuned. This will be uploaded. Like as this is uploaded, it'll probably be within 2 hours since we recorded.
Yeah.
And don't forget to check us out Wednesday night Spaces right after the game.
Yep.
Win, loss, or draw, we are there.
I just want to jump in. I want everyone to thumbs up this podcast and please pump it out there on the retweets on the Twitter X platform, all the platforms you're on, because this is a quick turnaround. So appreciate that so everyone can get it. And then, listen back to it as well.
So we are recording this
Tuesday
the
night
night before. June 3rd is when we are recording this. Has it sunk in that in less than 24 hours, gentlemen, we are going to be playing in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final?
because not really, because I want to enjoy the last bit of peace I have.
Yeah, that's me right now.
I don't want to get all ramped up for it. Hopefully there's a good moment or two, and it is favor of the Panthers.
Because when you're in a series like this, it's like no matter where your day is, it's always in the back of your mind.
Yep.
You always be thinking about it.
And to me, I have a championship mindset. To me, it's more about the moments of the series, and you don't know when they're going to happen. It could be early in the series. It could be in the middle of the series.
Now, what is our prediction for Game 1?
I'm just saying the Panthers have to win, and I'll go out there and say Panthers win Game 1.
Cody?
Otherwise, I don't love my pick.
Well, how do you think I'm feeling about mine if we lose Game 1?
Are you guys giving any prediction?
Panthers. Thankfully, both teams are on the same amount of rest, so I'll go Panthers 3, Oilers 2.
Oh, I thought Cody was going to pick Florida to win Game 2. Interesting.
I'm not picking any. I'm not saying anything. I just wanted to get your guys' takes.
Just like the damn holy water. But anyway,
that is all. Ready. I got the holy water ready. Lulu, Antonio, everybody. I got it ready. Don't worry about it. The holy water is here.
But thank you for listening to this episode of the Cats and Rats podcast. Once again, give us a thumbs up, 5 stars on Spotify, so hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. And what do you guys think this series is going to happen in this series? Whether fan or not, we welcome all fans of hockey into this community.
And sorry for the sniffles. I'm going to bed now. Good night, everybody.
But, ladies and gentlemen, as we sign off here, as always, let's go Cats.
What's up, Cats and Rats fans? If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button before you head out. If you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. And just like always, let's go Cats.